Hey there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Alderon and I are here today to talk to you about a book that we think is really, really special. And this is actually a little bit of a different kind of video today because I'm actually combining the age groups. Usually I do a separate video for children and a separate video for teens, but this week I actually am combining the children's and the teen videos into one video because I'm talking about the same book. And the reason I want to talk about the same book for both age groups is because I think that this is one of the most important and amazing books that I've read so far this year. And I actually think everybody should read this book. Adults too. But really, really, really importantly, I think that children and teens should read this book because it's so, so, so important. It's beautifully written. It's paced really well. It's just overall a really fantastic book. I think it's got a really cross-age appeal for a lot of different age groups. So, what is this book I'm talking about? What is this book that I'm confidently saying is going to be my favorite children's book of the year? It is The Probability of Everything by Sarah Everett. The Probability of Everything. So the cover isn't, doesn't really stand out too much, right? Just a picture of a girl standing there on her own, right, in the rain. And the little quote or the little phrase rather on the cover says, "Life has an unimaginable impact." And I also just want to read the quote that's right in the beginning of the book, before it starts, that says, "When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." And I think that that was chosen very perfectly because it fits with the entire overall story of the book. Now, another thing that's a little bit different about this video is I'm not going to give you too much information about the plot. And the reason for that is because the thing that is best about this book is going into it blind, without having spoilers, without really knowing what's going on towards the end. You want to have a really fresh view of this book reading it as for the first time. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up about what it's about, but I'm not going to go too deep into the story. So basically this is about a girl, 11-year-old girl named Kemi, who loves her family, and she is a scientist. So she loves numbers and probabilities, and that is what she just thinks about all the time. What is the probability of this happening? And so on and so forth. She loves science. Well, the story starts one perfectly ordinary morning when on the TV there is this huge news story that in 4 days, this huge asteroid called Amplas 68 is going to hit the Earth, and there's like an 84% chance of it ending all life. That's a pretty big bombshell to be dropping, not only on these characters, but on us, the reader, right from the beginning of the story. So Kemi is obviously upset. Her family is upset and devastated, but she decides that she is going to use what time she has left to put together a time capsule about her family, because she realizes that, the scariest thing in the world is not being, is not saying goodbye or the end of everything. The scariest thing is being forgotten, and that's what she doesn't want. She doesn't want all the amazingness of her family to be forgotten. So she figures she's going to gather things together, she's going to make this time capsule, bury it, and then either people in the future or aliens or whoever opens it will be able to know about her family and how amazing they are. So she wants to capture how creative her mom is. Her mom is a painter. She wants to capture how curious and inquisitive her sister is. She wants to capture how much her dad is the most important person in her whole life. And as the story goes on, some things just seem a little bit odd. A lot of other people seem to be going about their lives in these last 4 days as if they have not received this news, as if everything's normal. Her best friend is still going to school. She passes a diner and she sees everybody in there eating normally, and she just can't understand why everybody is acting like it is not the end of the world when it obviously is the end of the world. So I can't go and I won't go any further about the plot than that. But I will say there are lots of twists in this book. There are lots of things that you will not see coming, or maybe you will see them coming. But this book is just so, so, so amazing and incredible. Not just because of those twists, but because of the way that Kemi thoughtfully approaches, you know, the end of everything. You know, from a scientific point of view, but also of like focusing on the things of her family that she loves the most. And I thought that that was just very brave and beautiful and mature for an 11-year-old. And I think that there is something in this book for everybody, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are. I think that this is a very important book to read. You know, everybody approaches thoughts of death very differently, right? You can approach it from like a religious point of view. You can approach it from a scientific point of view. And you can approach it from any point of view you want. And it was done so, you know, with this huge asteroid literally hanging over Kemi's head. The way she just really focuses on her family and preserving the most important things about them was just absolutely majestic. I loved it so much. So the last thing I want to do with this book is just read you the very first page of it, because I want you to see the writing style. I want you to feel how amazing it is. And this is basically Kemi talking and telling us a little bit about what's going on. Dear reader, if you are reading this, then chances are that our world has ended. I don't know what that makes you. A survivor? Or an alien from another planet coming to pick through what's left of Earth, the way raccoons dig through the trash looking for leftovers? It doesn't really matter who you are. All that matters is that you found this. All that matters is that you now know we existed. My name is Kemi Carter, and I'm a scientist. You're probably picturing me now with a white lab coat and goggles, playing with bubbling green solutions and beakers and test tubes, but that's not the kind of scientist I am. For one thing, I'm 11. The other thing is that there are many different ways to be a scientist. The only requirement is to practice science, and that means gathering information and trying to know more about the world. My favorite type of science is the science of probability. Probability is pretty great because it tells you how likely something is to happen or not happen. It is a way of predicting the world. For example, now that you've found this book, the probability that you will read it all the way to the end is 0.5 or 50%. That means you have an equal chance of reading it or not reading it. I hope you read all the way to the end because I want you to know everything about how the world ended for us. I want you to know about our final days, our last hellos, last I love yous, last goodbyes. Please don't forget about us. For your scientific records, I'm going to tell you how it all ends. That just hooks you right away, right? It just makes you just completely feel so empathetic for Kemi, and you want to read more about her and her family and learn what is going to happen at the end of the world and how her world ends. So please, please, please read this book. Like I said, I know that it is definitely a children's book. The protagonist is 11. But, I mean, as you can tell, it deals with lots of really heavy topics like the end of the world and saying goodbye and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people, really everybody, should read this book. It has so many important messages and heart, and I have been trying to get everybody I know to read this book because it is just incredible. If I had $1 million, I would just go out and buy so many copies of it and just go and put it into people's hands, strangers on the street, and like, here, read this. You will be better after having read it. I know you will. You will feel things and you will just, oh, it's amazing. But the good news is you don't have to go out and buy it, and I don't have to be a millionaire to go out and get it because we have it at Farmington Community Library. So please, please, please go and read it. If you do read it, please come and talk to me about it. I would love to hear what you think of it. The Probability of Everything by Sarah Everett. So that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that this book sounds really incredible and you're intrigued and you want to read more. If so, like I said, it is available at Farmington Community Library, so feel free to come and pick that book up. And also, thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.